Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game So taking out a fun, interesting, and absolutely absurd video for you guys this evening because we're going to be talking about Ubisoft. Normally this video series is who's Nintendo suing and why are they suing them, or what other dumb thing is Nintendo doing this week, but Ubisoft definitely wants to take that top spot from Nintendo with their new end user license agreement being absolutely some of the dumbest thing you'll ever hear. I'm going to get into the overall aspect of what Ubisoft is doing, just how bad of a company they can be, and why they're basically trying to kill gaming in one fell swoop, turning something that you own into something that you rent until they decide, hey, even though you gave us money, you can't have it anymore. And this is down to the end user license agreement, and if that doesn't sound familiar, it's something we talked about with Nintendo as well when they said that they could just basically brick your Nintendo Switch console. But some of the absolutely hilarious things that they put into this are just absolutely absurd. It's one of those things, other companies have very similar language, but it just absolutely at face value sounds insane when they tell you what they want you to do. Basically what's happening here is the end user license agreement is all about killing their online games and basically removing the license for you to use them in the first place, because Ubisoft does not want you to think just because you buy a game, even if it's on a disc, you actually are able to play the game in any way, shape, or form after they decide they don't want you to. So now what Ubisoft is saying is if you buy a game that's on a disc and they take the game online and terminate that game, you're supposed to go out and literally destroy the copy of the game you own. They want you to go out back, break that compact disc or DVD, throw it in the trash, melt it, light a firework around it, do whatever the hell else you need to do to basically just absolutely obliterate it, which is some of the dumbest thing you could ever put in an end user license agreement. And before you go down below and say that they're just talking about destroying digital products and deleting the game, it isn't just that. This does involve physical media as well. Well, obviously no one's actually going to go out and do this, and Ubisoft isn't going to come to your house and check. It is still one of those things. It's just absolutely insane at face value. It says you must immediately uninstall the product and destroy all copies of the product in your possession. That doesn't just mean digital, it also stands for physical as well. Which really kind of gets us into the topic we're talking about in this video, the destruction of physical media and the destruction of the concept of ownership in video games. We've seen so much of that in maybe the last 3 or 4 years, where all of these companies want you to own absolutely nothing. They want to rent a game to you, they want to lease a game to you, they want to sell a game to you, and be able to shut it off whenever they feel like and say, sorry, that purchase that you completed, you're no longer able to use that, which is absolutely an insane concept. Imagine if you went out and you purchased a car, not leased it, and you decided that you're going to finish paying off the car, and then a week later BMW, Honda, Mercedes, or otherwise said, you know what, we're removing your license to drive that car, you have to give it back to us even though you paid for the damn thing. That's the level of insanity that's going on here with companies like Ubisoft and Nintendo and others, basically trying to state that the thing you gave them money for on a disc, on a physical product, doesn't actually belong to you in any way, shape, or form, and they can take it back whenever they want. And this is just kind of going towards that hostility in gaming right now. It seems like game companies, whether they're hardware manufacturers or software developers, just absolutely hate their own customer base. They're doing everything they can to train you and to train a younger generation to expect absolutely nothing and be happy to get it. And that really is one of the most disappointing things we've seen in like the last 12 to 18 months as far as actual games are concerned. We saw on the Nintendo end user license agreement where they're basically saying that if you do anything they don't like with your Switch 2, they can block it from online play and online updates, which has been a thing for a while, but they also say that they can just legit straight up brick your console if they want to. They say applicable Nintendo device permanently unusable in whole or in part. And I talked about that in a previous video. We've seen a lot of soft bricks where you can't get any sort of system updates, can't even download the games from those key cards. You basically just get locked out of so much of the ecosystem, because now that a lot of games are just games as services or ship on nothing but a license on a disc or on a key card that you download a game, stuff like this absolutely is going to destroy game preservation in the future, and things are going to get lost. And before you leave that comment down below and say nothing's ever truly lost on the internet, obviously that is the case, but it becomes a hell of a lot messier in the future. And this kind of all got its life started with Ubisoft's game The Crew. It was a massively online multiplayer racing game with a ton of different components, and honestly it was a decent time. But when Ubisoft decided they no longer wanted to support that game, as opposed to patching it for offline play just to have fun, they just shut the whole damn thing down. Now if you had bought the game 60 days before they shut the servers down, well that's tough shit, you're out your money, because Ubisoft says you don't actually actually own the game or anything else. You're just granted a license and they can revoke that at any point in time. Now, there are still lawsuits apparently going on with this, and they're taking a very novel approach, basically talking about gift card laws and how those cannot expire. I'm not sure how this is ever going to shake out, but there's a lot of different irons in the fire, both in the United States as well as the European Union, when it comes to this game actually being removed. And this is where the entire Stop Killing Games movement comes from. Companies just keep wanting to take away things you've purchased and say you don't have the right to them and you don't own them. They don't want you to think of a CD that you're getting at the store with a game on it to be yours. Nintendo doesn't want you to think that that game cartridge belongs to you. You're just getting a license as far as they're concerned, and at any point in time, for any reason, if they want you to stop playing that game, they're able to do so by revoking that license. And you're going to see a lot more of this because the entire concept of ownership is basically going out the window this generation, and even a little bit in the previous generation. Because you have things like the Nintendo Switch 2 game key card, all you're doing is buying a cartridge that has a license on it, which is transferable. You can resell these games, but once all of these servers go down 15-20 years from now, you better hope to help people back them up, because that game key card has no game on it. It's just basically like handing you a key and telling you it unlocks a door. It's not like the entire house is on the key, just the access to the house, where in this instance being able to download that content from Nintendo's servers. And again, if they decide to revoke the license, they can do that. If they decide that you've done something wrong with your Switch 2, even if you haven't, and they ban you from online support, it doesn't matter how many game key cards you put in your Switch 2, you're not going to be able to access the files, and that's just absolutely a mess. When you have companies like Ubisoft basically saying that you can give them money and they can decide to take back the thing you gave money for anytime they want, and that is their right, you start seeing what an absolute disaster this is going to be if this class action lawsuit or another one doesn't see the inside of court, and a company like Ubisoft or anyone else actually end up losing. Because right now it seems like game manufacturers and hardware manufacturers are treating their customer base more like enemies than supporters, and it really is a very unique industry where a lot of these developers, they treat the customers like they are the opposition, even while asking them for money. And they want you to be their cash pig, and they want to slaughter you and take away your game anytime they feel like doing it. And that's just absolutely insane. I can't think of another industry, honestly, where the consumer is treated so badly and expected to open up their wallet every single time they want to experience something new. And you'll see here where they talk about all of these different lawsuits. The crew basically started this up, and the question really was, can you just absolutely take a game offline and say no one can play it ever again, and basically go on the basis of, well, you didn't buy the game, you just bought the rights to access the game. Because it wouldn't have taken too much time for Ubisoft to basically patch this thing so you could play it offline. Sure, a lot of the components wouldn't be there, it wouldn't be a full experience, but they could have done a lot more to make people happy than just say, sorry, the game shut down, no, you can't access it ever again, no, you don't technically own it whatsoever, and hey, if you bought it 75 days ago, too bad, so sad, kid, your money is gone, the executives got their bonuses, everyone wins but you, and they really don't care about that. If you're wondering what type of a company Ubisoft is, trust me, they are not a good company in any way, shape, or form. Three of the executives just a few days ago, before the 4th of July, were found guilty of multiple crimes in France, and trust me, not the type of crimes I'm going to say out loud in this video for very particular reasons, but if you're wondering how they are, they're absolutely dumpster fire human beings, and if they can't treat their own underlings and co-workers with any better respect than this, what do you think that they're going to treat the actual end customer? You are nothing but money to them. They want you to get used to an economy in which you give them however much money they want, and they tell you when, where, how, and for how long you can play the game they developed. And then one day, if they just decide it's not worth keeping the service open anymore, they're not making as much profit as they want to kind of move that manpower to something else. It doesn't matter if you gave them $60, $70, $80, or $100, they're just going to say, sorry, it's all over, we're going to move on. And that really is the question on the table here. If you buy a video game, did you buy the video game or did you just buy the license? It's one of those things. For some online-only games, of course, you are just buying the access to the server, because if the server's turned off, there's not much to do. But even those kind of first-person shooter competitive games, when the companies decide not to support them anymore, it's not like they just basically kill the entire thing so you can't get into a lobby and play around. They just basically stop supporting the game and maybe private servers pop up. But Ubisoft seems to basically just think once they're done with something, they're done with it, and they can take it back from you right then and there, and you should be happy to have that game for as long as you had it. And just tell Ubisoft, please tell me when the next game is available to purchase. I'll give you more money, and I'll hope to God that you don't take it back from me. And I will leave a link to the Stop Killing Games initiative down below. There are a lot of things that they're doing over in Europe where customer protection laws are a lot stronger than they are in the US. This definitely needs to go before some sort of court or government at some point in time, or else 5, 10, 15 years from now, you're not going to own any of the video games you actually have. You're just going to be renting them in perpetuity. You're going to give a company $100 if they decide they don't want you to play the game anymore. Well, that's just tough shit. You're not going to be able to play it. They're going to take it back from you. But go and destroy those Ubisoft games, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.